Hey guys, and warm welcome back to the channel. My name's Grace if you're new here, and this is the Rusty Thicket. And today we are finally pulling out the advent calendar that I thrifted, I want to say back in July. They did like a Christmas in July sales thing at our local thrift shop here on base. And I knew I wanted to do an advent calendar for Vlogmas already. And I really love this one because it was heavy. It had a couple little dings and scratches and stuff on it, but if you're familiar with the channel, you know I love that sort of thing anyway. So it was pretty much perfect. It's just that it was not really in the aesthetic that we were going for, and this is a Goblincore channel, so naturally we had to cover it in moss and give it a little facelift. So here I am spray painting the base coat. I did not prep this in any way other than covering the mirror finish that's on the little doors, the little advent doors. And I probably should have sanded it down because the spray paint did run just a tad bit, but we were not going for perfect here. If I try to teach you guys anything on this channel at all, is that things don't always have to be perfect. In fact, most of the time, it's the imperfect stuff that I find the most endearing and people really gravitate towards without even really knowing it a lot of the time. So I'm taking off the tape here, and as you can see, the numbers are red. We could have gone with red. I could have kept them and then just scraped off the little stars and snowflakes that you see, but I really just wanted to make it my own. So I mostly covered the glass so I wouldn't have to work extra hard and scrape off the spray paint too, but it would have come off really easily as well. One of the great things about mirrors and glass is that they don't typically scratch with an X-Acto knife, so getting this stuff off was super easy. But after I take all of this tape off, that is what we're going to do. This particular find, I think it cost me 50 cents. And with the spray paint and some of the equipment I had already had and all that kind of thing, I'd say maybe this whole flip cost me about $10. I got most of the stuff at the Daiso, which is the Japanese version of a dollar store. But here you see me taking a flat X-Acto blade to the glass to scrape all of this off. It felt kind of like paint, but also kind of felt like vinyl. Thankfully, it didn't leave any kind of residue behind. It was not sticky or anything. It pretty much came right off as long as I had the angle on the X-Acto knife right. And I'm sure this would have worked fine with, you know, some kind of razor blade or whatever, but this is just what I had. And I don't know how much you can really tell. But if you see me leaving red behind, those little balls that they glued to it so that you could open the door was actually put on top of some of the red, so I couldn't get underneath them without popping that off of there, and I did not want to have to re-glue that little ball back on the door. So some of the red is just left behind, and it's part of its quirkiness, I guess. I used a little bit of glass cleaner to kind of help the blade glide across the glass. That way there wasn't, you know, as much friction. I'd say altogether this probably took me a good hour, but mostly just because I had to take breaks in between, you know, walking the dog, that kind of stuff. And then I'm just going to clean it up really good because we are adding vinyl to the top of this, our own design, here in just a little bit. And you can see I did not paint the base, which actually ended up being the top part because I knew I was going to cover it, which is what I started doing here. And it's really dark because this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to get this video to you guys on Thursday without having to actually work on it on Thursday. But here I am voicing over on Thursday morning because my week got away from me. Surprise, surprise. We're actually heading to a friend's house for Thanksgiving today, so I have a couple of things cooking and some stuff like that going on. But I just wanted to have a separation in the moss that I'm about to put up here. I wanted a little bit more texture, so I added these stones to give it kind of a break. It also sort of looks like a river that kind of runs through it, and I didn't have anything to make it really look like that, so I just covered them in moss. And I could have gone really, really crazy with all of this moss. I could have put it all over the place, but the truth is I really want this thing to last, and the tidier it is in the long run, the better it will be, because I'm gonna have to pack it up in storage, and at some point when we leave Japan, you know, it'll have to go through a really big move. So I didn't do it all through the sides or at the base where it could fall off or anything like that. Okay, and then one of my favorite parts of this whole project was digging through and finding all the fun little things to go on the top. I added these fern pieces from a Daiso, like a larger piece that I cut up into some smaller pieces. You saw in the last video if you watched the one about redoing the Christmas tree. So I'm just pulling out anything I thought might work, and then you'll see later that I chose basically just some plain mushrooms and a little froggy. I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to go crazy, because if things start falling off of it, you know, that defeats the purpose of making it. I love these like cream colored mushrooms. Both of them are way too tall for what I was doing though, so they're definitely going to be used in a different project. If you're not familiar with my goblin hoard, this is what that is. You should definitely go watch that video. I absolutely love collecting these little trinkets, I Spy trinkets. I've had friends and family donate over the years. A lot of them are like core memories from my childhood that I've just held on to, and I have like a list of them, like specific things I'm looking for. The other day I finally found a loose jack, you know, like those little spiky things like the Jax game. Anyway, I have a list of stuff I'm looking for throughout the years, and I found quite a few things here in Japan that satisfy that need, and then some. Like a teeny tiny Cynthia doll from Rugrats is in there somewhere. Oh, there's the frog. And some more mushrooms. And I did want to put like some rusty stuff up here, but I have another project coming up that I want to make sure I have plenty of that for, just in case, before I add anything to it. So we may come back to this and add a few more things up top. So I'm going to start adding in the details. I have that smaller moss, like from the last video, that I'm going to put in between the rocks. I just love the texture that it gives. It also makes it look a little bit more realistic, even though these are literally just little dyed sponge pieces. Just that way, you know, it's not all the same to look at. And it kind of helps break up your eye and, you know, all those design things. But anyway, I was just having fun. That's mostly what this is about. Alright, and I've mixed up a couple of little paints. I have very little acrylic because I had to get rid of a lot of that moving here. They don't like to move a lot of your liquids for you, and I probably could have gotten away with keeping most of it, but I just don't use acrylic like I used to anyway. So some of it was kind of crusty and old. But I just had a few colors, some orange and green and a little bit of this like metallic black because I didn't have solid black, made a great brown. Orange and brown are basically the same thing. If you're ever, you know, needing a brown, orange as your base is like the best way to go. Mixing all colors together will kind of eventually give you a muddy color, but it won't be like that chocolatey brown that you're looking for. And I wanted to add some dimension to this, like it looked like a log or a tree trunk, or, you know, something that wasn't that flat brown color, which was pretty much the only spray paint brown that I could find. We don't have Lowe's and Home Depot here, and their selection in town is definitely not what we're used to in the States. So I found this can at the Exchange, that's that base color, and now I'm just going to go through, add a little texture, which I'm sure is hard to see on the screen, but in person, you know, it doesn't look flat, which is what I was going for. Alright, and then after putting stuff to the top of this and letting it dry, I came back in with my green and just added some little details that wouldn't fall off. If I could do it over, and I might add later, like I've said before, I would probably try and maybe, well, I need some more acrylic paint, so I will add some definition to some of this over time. But I really wanted this ready for December 1st because I have another video to make filling it up. My husband is going to place all of the Japanese candies that I've never tried in it before, and we've got to go get said candy, which will be a video. And here I am with these two vinyl colors. I know I was leaning light, like the one on the left, the other day, but having seen it against the brown after the texture, I felt like the one on the right made way more sense. So I took my micrometer to see what sizes I could get away with and make the vinyl pieces as large as possible because I want it visible, but also because I have some images, not just some numbers. If you saw in that first little part of the video, they had some snowflakes and stars, and I just thought that was really cute to keep, except make it Goblincore. So we've got a mushroom and a beetle and a snail, and you'll see here in a second after I start cutting the vinyl out. But I just wanted to measure these little squares within the space of the handle so they wouldn't overlap, so it looked nice. And it was such a beautiful, rainy, drizzly day. This is my back balcony. The aloe was loving it, and so was I. Alright, so here I am running the computer into my workspace to hook it up. I've never had a good Bluetooth connection, no matter what I've tried, so I just plug her in. And this is the vinyl I chose. All 25 numbers plus a few little 1-inch graphics took about 4 inches of, well, 4 by 12 inches of vinyl, which was pretty good. I had a little bit of leftover. I probably could have trimmed it down even more, but I did go ahead and have the Cricut place the numbers wherever so that I could get the most out of it. So I had to work a little extra hard as far as finding the numbers in order because they weren't. All right, so I'm gonna start placing these numbers. They're not all perfect. They're not all straight. I am a perfectionist. I am a Virgo. It's hard not to want to spend literal hours lining things up perfectly and obsessing over stuff, but I'm really trying not to be doing that anymore. I'm really leaning into the whole wabi-sabi thing and just letting it be fun. And see, it doesn't look bad. It's straight enough. I could have moved it up some, but I'm not going to go back and fix it. I think it's perfectly fine. But we're going to put all 25 images and numbers on here. I ended up with a frog, a beetle, a mushroom, a snail, and a moth. And I'll show you how it ends up here in just a second. All right, and I'm cleaning up a little bit of the hot glue. I really wanted to put something in that area right there, and I couldn't come up with anything tall, which is what I thought it needed, so I just went with texture instead, which is always my backup plan. I feel like so many more things need texture and dimension. So I added this real looking moss because it is real. And I just kind of let it be as organic as possible so that it looks even more real. And I think it did the trick, honestly. Really though, when in doubt with Goblincore, just add mushrooms and moss, because who doesn't love all that? I mean, I know that this could be considered kitschy, but I like that. And if I saw, moss covered stuff at Michael's or Joann's or whatever, I would probably go ham. I just love things that look like the forest have taken over it. Adding a little more dimension to that because I went a little bit lighter with the green since I had that white mushroom stem color. But look how much better it looks with all of the texture. I'm really happy with how it ended up. But anyway, so we're gonna go set it on the shelf. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can make your own advent calendar this way. I see so many blank ones that you could start with. I just happened to find a thrifted one. So like I said, when in doubt, just add some moss, cut some little frog vinyls out for your numbers. I just think it turned out so cute. I'm really happy with the vibe and how it matches my Christmas tree. It's gonna look great in my space. And then in a few days, we will take a bike ride down to a local Japanese candy store, and I'm just going to buy a bunch of stuff I've never tried before, and then my husband's going to load it up for us to try on the channel. Every day of Vlogmas, we'll open this guy up first and see what kind of candy we can try. But I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, because this will be posted on Thursday. And I will see you all in the next one. Happy holidays. I'll be back on Monday. Bye, guys.